Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:08 p.m. and we stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a roll call, please.
Steeler?
Here.
Mr. Pascal?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Yeah. Mrs. Gary? Here. Mr. Ely?
Here.
Mr. Nolan?
Here. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. O'Shea to get us started.
Thank you. First of all, welcome to our first meeting combining in-person and live stream. This is a temporary option for now. We will be exploring additional options in the future as we work through the best video and sound options for both. So in the meantime, thank you, Sylvie and Aaron and Stapleton for your work organizing this. So for tonight's meeting, first two photos were taken outside of Harmony Hill. This is the vice students taking advantage of a nice day, studying for their upcoming state science test. And then the last photo of Mrs. Whalen students focused on their Chromebooks during a recent test. So what better way to celebrate our first in-person / live stream meeting than having our top three Cohoes High School students with us. And to introduce them, this is Laura Tyra, Cohoes High School principal.
Thank you, Ms. O'Shea. We are so excited tonight to be honoring our top scholars at Cohoes High School, 3 young women, congratulations, who have worked hard, who have sacrificed, who have persevered, and really just demonstrated excellence at Cohoes High School and Cohoes City Schools throughout the years. I'm going to tell you who they are. I'm going to tell you their incredible GPA, and then I'm going to ask them to share with you a little bit about themselves, where they're going to school, what they're going to be studying, and what the future holds for them. So congratulations to our valedictorian, Lorena Westphal, graduating with a GPA of 99.10. Congratulations. Ms. Ruchi Shah, salutatorian, graduating with a GPA, weighted GPA of 98.82. And Ms. Olivia Uno, graduating with honorable mention, GPA of 98.03. Congratulations to all 3 of you. We are so proud. We look forward to celebrating you more through the senior event week coming up soon. So I'm going to pass this around and share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lorena. I'm going to Buffalo University for the female and Scholars program, and I'm studying psychology. Hi, I'm Ruchi. I'll be going to UAlbany, and I'll be majoring in business administration and minoring in film. I'm Olivia Hugo, and in the future, I'm going to attend Russell Sage College, and I'm going for a health sciences major to become a physical therapist, and I'm also playing for the Sage women's basketball team.
Okay.
Third comments.
I just want to congratulate you all on, it takes a lot of effort to be where you are and a lot of great determination to persevere and follow through on all the challenges that you where you are. And it's really excited to see where you all go and what I can contribute to not just the host, but the community at large, and how you get to make the world a better place and keep your own. Thank you.
I can't help but add, personally proud of these girls. I had the honor to be their first college advisor. I didn't get to see as much of them as I wanted to, but they all did the Future Pathways program in Hudson Valley. And their work in Hudson Valley was every bit as good as their work at Cohoes High School. And they did this very challenging year, obviously. It was supposed to be an on-campus experience, turned into not so much an on-campus experience, but their grades were stellar, and they continue to make us proud of college. So, it's just good to see you, and congratulations.
Well, thank you again, and you can either stay with us or you can go. Your choice. And I know this is terrible. Listen to him.
They're not here in person every day, so I don't always have the chance.
So as always, submissions for public comment can be emailed to boecomment@cohoes.org. And this would be a good time because I have some updates. So first of all, I want to talk to you about a safety team meeting that was held on May 26th. Mayor Keeler, Fire Chief Rob, Police Chief Golden, board members Margaret Giller and Pete Annalay, principals and other team members were in attendance. We updated our school district safety plan, which will be presented at the July 7th meeting for a 30-day comment period. We also discussed future training for staff in conjunction with the police department. Buildings also reported out. A big thank you to the police and fire department for their collaboration with our students. Very positive comments. Yeah. Any questions on that? Also, we'll be reporting out afterwards, but we do have a wellness committee meeting, which will be held on June 17th. We need to review our wellness policy to meet the triennial review requirements of the food and nutrition program and budget. So a few updates on our end of the year ceremonies. So first of all buildings have planned their ceremonies this year, keeping safety to the forefront as they follow New York State Department of Health regulations, while also trying to find ways to recognize and celebrate students with their families. At the elementary, there'll be separate ceremonies by class scheduled each hour with time in between for sanitizing. Most classes range between 14 to 16 students, with a few virtual classes under 21, so small ceremonies with all students as a cohort, their teachers and principals, and Lansing and Harmony Hill have a total of under 75 per building. The middle school has approximately 141 students moving up to the high school, and they're planning on an in-person promotional walkthrough with various stations for students and their families to participate in, culminating with students being handed their diploma. Some of the stations include photo booth signs for students to their families and friends to sign. They're also planning an online ceremony where awards are presented and speeches are given. And at the high school, we have approximately 120 graduates. We're still wrapping up some final details to determine the number of guests. There is a good weather plan and an inclement weather plan. So let's hope for good weather because good weather means more guests. The tent that we're ordering, which you will also see a resolution this evening on, holds approximately 136 people, 60 of them. And also an update on summer programming. The high school summer school will take place from July 12th through August 11th, Monday through Friday, 2 sessions, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 10:05 a.m. to 12:05 p.m. We are putting the finishing touches on elementary and middle school programming, and we'll be sharing information with parents. Students will be invited to attend based on math assessment scores, and also a teacher recommendation. The focus is going to be on reading and skills development, state learning standards. At the elementary, we're going to be focusing on themes, engaging themes. So if anyone has any ideas for fun engaging themes, let us know. And then also the middle school with an emphasis on project-based learning. Any questions before I hand this to Stacy?
So just some quick updates on our financial audit. So we're a company, have been on site this week, June 1st and 2nd. That gave an initial on site view of internal controls of the financial audit. They are scheduled to return for on site field work the week of August 16th through the 20th. And the audit committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for October 5th at 5 p.m. Once we have the reorg and identify who committee and send out their invitation to we have the financial audit, we have the internal audit, and also have our auditor. Construction management RFP, we did have the walkthrough on May 25th. This is for the Memorial Day weekend. We did have 6 vendors in attendance. We conducted a walkthrough each of our buildings. During the walkthrough, we just highlighted some items that were brought up as part of the building condition survey. The principals also joined us for the walkthrough and were able to voice the concerns that they had. The RFP deadline is June 15th at 1 p.m. We're anticipating July contract, and that will be a multi-year. We will be looking for a member 2 or 3 of the board to sit in interviews. So frequency who might be interested, it would be probably in the afternoon, have a small committee to conduct interviews once we see those RFPs. So I promised recommendations for reserves last time we met. You will painfully recall that we had many adjustments in anticipation of state aid reductions. Reductions didn't end up occurring. So that's not us in a position where we'll be able to fund reserves this year, which is obviously very big. It's the first time in a few years we've been in this position. So ERS and TRS are our number 1 priorities according to our reserve plan. So each year, after the financial audit, we do a reserve plan, and we'll recall that all of our reserves are firstly underfunded. And we have identified the retirement reserves as our top priorities to fund. So TRS, there's a calculation, so there's a maximum of 2% of payroll that not subgroup that could be funded. So that's near the recommendation is near the calculation is actually 331 and change, but I rounded it down to 330. ERS, our annual expense is $110,000. That's what we budgeted for next year. Ideally, we have 3 years of expense. And that reserve is almost fully depleted. So the recommendation is $270,000. And the tax sanctuary reserve was not highlighted in our reserve plan as a priority, so why is there a recommendation? We were notified this week, saying that there is a new grievance. So as a result, we are recommending 200,000 for the tax sanctuary reserve. Now, if we don't utilize those monies for tax sanctuary, then the board can take action to move the money into a different reserve or back into the general fund. It's within 4 years. There's no harm if the grievance doesn't come to fruition. Any questions on these recommendations? Set for the form.
Thank you for the update, Stacy. Second, any discussion on board agenda items from anyone on board?
Hi, Matt. This is Margaret. I'm sorry, I'm having some difficulty hearing. So if this is not the time to be having a conversation about some of the year-end events, then I can certainly wait for that. I am having difficulty hearing you guys.
Yeah, like we're gonna wait until after the agenda items.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the agenda items, I did want to say thank you and best wishes to Heather Brown, who we will bring in this year in the district. And I know that our students have been in this department for her involvement. But best of luck in your next position. And thank you again. And I did also want to, on a positive note, thank and show how excited we are to bring back a number of positions that we haven't been able to have over this past year. And just how excited we are to bring all of you back into the districts. Thank you all. If there's no other discussion on the agenda, I'll ask for any motions that the board adopts tonight's consent agenda. The motion, Ms. Okay. That's good. There's a motion from Ms. Dion and a second from Mr. Hayward.
Mrs. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Pascal,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dion,
Yes.
Mrs. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Ganley,
Yes.
Mr. Nolan.
Yes. That, is there any comment from the board on any topic at all? And so, Margaret, this is a good time to discuss topics like the end of the year events.
Okay, I think I got that I'm supposed to be talking now. So I just wanted to mention, I know that we have addressed some of the emails that have come in. I'm not sure if we talked as a group, if we were going to be discussing some of the concerns that parents had had. And I think that it's fair for us to be having a conversation about what the process was and how things were determined, how we made decisions, and making sure that we are making decisions for, the large group of kids. I think that at this point, having in-person events is definitely a benefit for our kids. They've missed out on a lot over the course of the last 2 years. And if there's something that we can do to even make a limited ceremony happen, I would certainly be in favor of something like that. I'm not taking away from any of the work that anybody has done up to this point. Literally, we have had any communications that have come to me were after it was blasted out to parents. So I'm just wondering if parents were involved in any of these decision makings, if they were on the committee, or if we're just doing what we did last year.
So, so middle schoolers looking at what they did last year and enhancing and refining it. So it's not just what they did last year, it is similar. They looked at potentially doing, and I know we'll be talking about this later when we answer some of the parenting emails. They did look at the potential for some outdoor type ceremonies. One of the concerns was with 141 students, they felt that the social distancing would mean parents were farther away, some parents very far away from the ceremony. So they tried to look at a way to recognize students with their families at the end of a very challenging year in a meaningful way that is less formal than prior years, other than last, trying to make it more engaging. I do know in terms of process, the principal and assistant principal met with the 8th grade team. They also did meet with some of the teachers involved with promotion. I did discuss it with PTO. I'm not sure to what extent or what level of involvement was with other parents. I think it was primarily the PTO, but that's something I can find out more about.
Okay. Can we be heard? I would like to say I appreciate and respect, received many emails regarding graduation. The disappointment is understandable. This has been a year of disappointment and disruption and then tragedy. I have to believe we didn't make it at all. And it would be wonderful to be able to go back, and I think we're heading in that direction. It would be great to go back to normal. I wish we were there. But with respect to managing graduation and managing graduation during a pandemic, I do see that as a function of our managers more than a policy. I don't see it as a policy question. I think obviously it's fair game for the board to ask about the process, how the decisions were made. But I do, from what I can see, I'm convinced that the judgments were very thoughtful from our administrators. And I think they did the best from what I can see. Well, I understand disappointment. I think they did the best they could do with our students and their families in mind. And I appreciate, understand disappointment, but I continue respect, appreciate all the work that our managers have to put in to try to make this work as best they could.
Thank you, Mark. And I don't mean to come across that I am not grateful for all of the work that's been done. My point is, who's been involved, when we can go back to our community members and say, this is the process, this is who was involved in making this decision. And like you said, there's certainly disappointment, and it's been disappointment after disappointment. Are these 30 emails, are those only 30 parents who are concerned about this? Is there 110 out there who are not concerned? Those are the things that I'd like to know. How is this developed in a way that was getting stakeholder feedback, especially when we are one district and we have all of our elementaries in person, yes, in smaller pieces. We have our high school in person, and 8th grade is the only one that's not. I think 141 kids is a celebration. That's huge. I mean, for us to be able to have 141 kids making it through the 8th grade, wanting to walk across the stage is not a bad problem for us to have. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from the work that has already been done to this point. But I feel like we do have a responsibility as elected individuals to make sure that we communicate the concerns of our constituents and our community.
So if I may just elaborate a little bit,
The decisions, as far as I'm aware, that were made about the 8th grade graduation ultimately come from the school. They come from Mr. Martinelli and Miss Kelly. The funding and the actual organisation of what happens comes directly through the PTO. Some people have been asking, was there any community input, was there any input from parents into what was going on? They're literally describing the PTO. There are 140 odd students that are going to be graduating. There are 7 parents on the PTO. That isn't the executive board. That's 7 people out of 100. There's going to be multiple children, but out of 140 children, students, there are 7 parents. And that's not enough. Mr. Martinelli, this is not his first day at work. I understand that people want an in-person graduation. I would love an in-person graduation as well. My daughter's in 6th grade, she'll be going into 8th, obviously in 2 years if I did the math right. And I hope that by that point, we're back to some type of normality. But Mr. Martinelli, Miss Kelly, and the rest of the teachers and the PTO have definitely put forward the best of what is available to them with the guidelines that were put in place. You also cannot equate what's happening at the high school with what's happening at the middle school. The high school is, Ms. Tallow has been working on that since, back in March, I believe. This has been a massive thing since last year. We've been working on how, the high school has been working on how to do this. The middle school is all funded by themselves. They don't get district funding for doing this. So, yeah, they've done, I think they've done a pretty good job with what they've got. There is in-person, it's not an in-person ceremony, they're not going to be walking across a space to get there to follow them or whatever it is that they would get. But there are options for the parents to be there. They don't get a yearbook, they're going to get the signs to all the other students getting signed, that they can get signed with their teachers, they can get signed with their friends. And the feedback that they got from last year was that was a lot more memorable and a lot more meaningful than just walking across the stage, getting a diploma from the principal, and some faceless guy in a suit that we had standing there talking. So yeah, to say that something could be done or something should be done is I think is kind of throwing the PTO and the administration of the middle school under the bus a little bit. And they know what they're doing. If something could have been done better with the guidance that they got, with the permissions that they were given, and the timelines that they were given in it, something else would definitely have been done. This is what they've come up with. This is the best they can come up with, and hopefully we can move forward with it to have something better in the future. And the best way for that to happen from a community standpoint is to have more community input into it. Just my 2 cents.
I agree with what Mr. Anthony said. I attended last year at the middle school. It was amazing. And I've done all those graduations. Packed in that impact gym. It is so hot. And there's not room for people. And last year, each child had a station. And it was amazing. And it was fun. And this is not a senior year. It's 8th grade. I mean, kindergarten, 5th grade, 8th grade, 12th grade. I don't think we need all this. Make it fun for these kids and let it be special for our seniors. Mr. Martinelli has a lot planning in this, and I think it should go forward the way as planned with his team and his PTA. Thank you.
with that, I think that the next portion is community comment, which is specifically, we did receive 14 emails from people on the topic of middle school promotion. And I haven't responded back to everyone yet, except for, I believe, 2 people that emailed around 5:30. I'll get back to you shortly. But for most everyone else, I have been in contact with Mr. Martinelli. And this was something when the board first heard of the plan originally, this was some of the same questions that you folks are asking on same thing. We wanted to make sure, like, hey, we're having in-person promotions and ceremonies at other schools. What was the reasoning and how did you go about this decision? Only got some of that further clarification. And that's what I spoke to Mr. Martinelli today, and that's the information that he's been providing with everyone that has reached out to us to see if there's a way we can have an in-person ceremony or not. And so I do appreciate everyone advocacy and their feedback. But again, to Mark's point, I do believe that this is not a board decision in any way. This is not a policy decision. And so we certainly can share our opinions on what should happen or shouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, I do believe this is something that falls down to the decision of Mr. Martinelli, staff there, and as far as the specific questions from folks, I think are, because there are 14 of them and they're all in the same category, I'm not going to go through and read them all, but the general question is, can we have an in-person event for students at the middle school program? And just to if you want to just respond, and you have some information, I can respond with what Mr. Martinelli provided.
So I can start, and then if you want to share what Mr. Martinelli provided, I'd have to hold it for a second. So as I mentioned earlier, the middle school tried to figure out a way to recognize students with their families at the end of a very challenging year by having the promotional walkthrough. They're not limiting the number of attendees that can come with each student. I think you will see a few changes from last year, and also there can be some staggered interval of the walkthroughs can be that can give us time in between. Mr. Martinelli went through and he did get the results of his decision-making process in an email. And do you like me to start sharing or you?
I can share it.
Matt, can I just ask if you can use a different microphone? We really cannot hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And I will say we've been trying to have in-person events here for the first time, so apologies for the technical difficulties. These are making we'll try to sort out moving forward. As far as Mr. Martinelli's response, he had said that it was the middle school's goal to plan a middle school level celebration for our transitioning eighth grade students, an event or events that would acknowledge the hard work of our kids, reward the turbulence they suffered this year, allow families to participate, and also meet the COVID-19 restrictions, which is obviously where the restrictions things become very complicated. So to have a live and in-person event, we must maintain social distancing of 6 feet. Family members can sit together. They have 141 eighth grade students. I have to allow for students, 2 guests each, and to that about 20 staff and community guests, which ends up being around 443 people. They can arrange 2 seats together for guests within 6 feet. And they actually Ms. Martinelli provided a rough map to try to figure out how this would actually look. And if they were to use the high school 10 field, all students would be under the 6 feet apart, and all guests would be outside the 10, which would mean that they were 50 or more yards away from watching their kids walk across the stage. And then the event rules, they would try to make all middle school events nice and well thrown out. And it needs to work. And then so how loud would it have to make the speakers so the parents at the 50 yards plus could hear? And then how do they stop parents trying to get closer during the ceremony to take pictures so that they could be in compliance with the rules that they have to be? And then also who gets close seats without people running out and so then opening the gates and then monitors the two guest rule, how they enforce that and have issues. And that's part of his job, obviously, but they would need additional resources to do all of those things. And then they also discussed the idea of possibly a blue day or gold day at end of ceremonies and have half as many people. And they could put the guests outside the tent at 25-ish yards away for those. But the ceremonies would have to be short and rushed because the high school also needs the tent during that day. And so there are other logistics that make it difficult. And then that would also result in them not having a contingency if it were to rain on that day. He also mentioned that with some of the things that they did last year, for instance, the online promotion ceremony, it may not be ideal, but it did had over 1,000 views last year. So there was some semblance of acknowledgement and how successful that can be in a different way. And then as far as the promotional walkthrough, it's the culmination of a conversation that they started with what would bring kids some joy. And they want to see their friends, they want to see their families, they want their families to participate, and they want to see their teachers. They want to take pictures, they want to say goodbye, and they want to have an event. And so with all of that, they try to have a nice balance between the traditional things that they've done and also to bring some joy to kids. And so that kind of provides some of the background on some of the issues that they're trying to balance and find how they get it up where they get it. And if you do have any further questions, I would implore you, please reach out to Mr. Martinelli. He is happy to answer any questions and have a conversation with folks about how they walk through this process, how they got here, and why he thinks it ultimately is the best experience for our students.
So I just have a quick question. I too attended the middle school celebration last year and it was unlike any other end of year celebration that I attended when my own kids were coming up through. And it was great. The kids really enjoyed it, seeing each other. I know last year was much different and they had no contact, but they were able to take their families through and sort of show them what their year looked like. And it was a good, I don't know, meet in the middle sort of solution to a really unusual problem. But my question is are one of the changes this year going to be that the kids maybe can have that photo op that the parents are maybe looking for at the end when they have the read-through said that they can pick up their certificate and leave their certificate at the end. Will they have the opportunity to have that, like hand up, shake on their moment?
So my wife is the vice president of the PTO, and my understanding is, and if I'm wrong, so very much shout to me in a second. My understanding is that there will be a photographer of some description, whether it will be a professional one or just, an idiot with a very good camera. But there will be photographs there. They will be, it will be recorded.
And Mr. Martinelli and Kelly and I did discuss at the last station having that meeting where it's not just picked up, but where it's presented to the student.
Thank you. I think that's a great compromise addition to last year.
Anything else? Mr. Nolan, are you aware of my glasses that are licensed time so I can?
And again, just thank you to everyone that did reach out, all the emails, feedback that I received, everyone was cordial. I know everyone is invested in the education and the excitement around this. And so I do want to appreciate everyone for reaching out. We want feedback, we want to hear when people aren't necessarily happy with something. We're happy to provide explanations around how we got to this situation like this. With that being said, our next meeting will be June 16th. Perhaps here in the cafeteria, we'll continue to try to refine our costs and AP equipment so that hopefully things will be a little smoother next time. It'll be at 6 o'clock. And given that, I'll ask for a motion to enter into the executive session at 6:48 PM to discuss matters leading to the employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Mrs. Mueller,
Yes.
Mr. Pascal.
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Khan, Mrs. Carey, Mr. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Nolan.
Yes. We don't anticipate coming back into one session, so I thank everyone for viewing and attending, and have a great evening. Thank you.